Okay, good evening and welcome to the Whiskey Wall. I'm your host, Executive Bourbon Steward Mark Patton. So let's pick up our glass of Rebel Yell and take a look. So we've got a nice light pumpkin color. 연한 호박색. And on the nose, what do we in your chat really quick? Just put what you get on the nose. 그 챗에다가 향에서 나오는 향기 올려주세요. First one is the Rebel Yell Bourbon. I'm sorry, the bourbon. Rebel Yell Bourbon. So, anyone care to share what you get on the nose? Vanilla? Okay. When I popped the first cork last week to send you your vials, I got this huge rush of fresh fruit. It's like peaches and apples, really juicy. Yeah, peach, I agree with Adam there with the peach. I get a very light straw. 지평은 아주 마른 연한 지평은 있고 복숭아, 생사과, and you get much acetone? Yeah, he said, yeah, I agree with Adam on the peach. But fresh peaches, not the cooked fruit, the fresh, very fresh fruit. Now, who's responsible for Rebel Yell? Well, it was a politician. 요즘에 연예인들이 위스키를 만들기 많이 시작했잖아요. 근데 옛날에는 연예인보다 정치자, politicians used to be involved in whiskey a lot. So the gentleman Charles R. Farnsley was the mayor of Louisville from 1948 to 1953. 1948년부터 1953년까지 Charles R. Farnsley 씨는 루이빌 시장이었습니다. 그래서 그 이분이 제가 뭐 정치적인 얘기는 피하려고 하는데 이분의 좀 관심사는 문화 쪽에 관심이 많았어요. 그래서 그때 루이빌의 그 시립 오케스트라 연주단 설립했고 다운타운 그 시내에서 박물관 특히 예술관 할 수 있게끔 많이 도와줬고 그 다음에 웰러 W.L. Weller and Sons 그러니까 스티츠 웰러 전 그 1848년에 설립한 중에서 이제 100년 기념을 하여 이 Rebel Yell Bourbon 개발했대요. 같이 개발했고 표적 시장은 미국 남부였어요. 그 이유는 금주령 끝나고 So let me back up in English and do this in English a little bit. So Charles Farnsley was the mayor of Louisville. He was the mayor from 48 to 53, and he was very interested in culture and having culture in the city of Louisville. So he promoted the Louisville Orchestra. He was involved in getting some museums set up. He was very interested in getting a good cultural life going in the city. And he worked with Stitzel Weller to develop Rebel Yell as in commemoration of W.L. Weller and Sons Distilling being founded 100 years before. And then the market he was looking at was the southern states. So everything south of Kentucky, basically, Tennessee, North, South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, down to Florida. Now, what was the reason for this? Well, the reason was after Prohibition, we have a period of time where distillers are starting to get going and they're just ready to start selling good stuff again because they ran out of, they couldn't sell, they had thrown away or they ran out of whatever they had before Prohibition over those 13 years. 그 금주령 13년 동안 그 숙성 중인 위스키를 뿌리거나 팔거나 아니면 그냥 거의 없어졌으니까 금주령 지나서 위스키 증류하기 시작한 다음에 숙성, 그러니까 마실만한 숙성 연도가 좀 기다려야 되잖아요. 그래서 금주령 끝나고 이제 40년 초기에 이제 팔만한 위스키가 생기기 시작했을 때는 2차 대전 때문에 이제 위스키를 위해서 증류를 못하게 다시 되어 있어요. So they were cut off from making more whiskey during World War II. All their production went into the war effort. They were making industrial alcohol for the war effort. So they come back, and he's like, this guy says, we got to point our whiskey toward the southern states because they've been almost literally dry for half a century. They haven't had good whiskey for 50 years now. 거의 50년 동안 마실만한 whiskey가 없으니까 우리가 남부를 위한 위스키 하나 만들자고 했고 만들기 시작하다가 브랜드명은 Rebel Yell로 선택했어요. Who knows what the Rebel Yell is? Why is this called not Charles R. Farnsley, and it's not William LaRue Weller whiskey, and it's not Stitzel whiskey? Why is this Rebel Yell whiskey? What was the Rebel Yell? Rebel Yell이라는 명칭, 호칭은 어떻게 왜 선택했을까요? 사람 이름이 아니고 증류소 이름도 아니고. Everybody's furiously Googling. Billy Idol. Billy Idol came later. Billy Idol's a British rocker in the 80s. You're too young. Okay. Okay. The Rebel Yell. 그 증류소 설립해서 바로 남북 전쟁 시작했잖아요. 1860년부터 5년 동안 미국 그 북부 남부 이제 갈아서 서로 싸웠어요. So we had the Civil War, the North-South War. The rebels were the South. 남군이 rebel이라고 불렸고, 왜냐면 이제 탈출하려고 하는 주가 rebel이라고 부르게 되는데, 공격할 때는 그 적군 이제 무섭게 공격하기 위해서 소리를 지르면서 공격했대요. 그래서 그 소리 자체가 that was the rebel yell, the sound that the Confederate Army would scream when they were coming over the hill to attack the Union Army, and that was called the rebel yell. And we actually have some authentic Confederate soldiers who, before they passed away, were recorded giving the rebel yell. So are we ready with that demonstration? We're going to show you the rebel yell. You might want to turn your sound down or pull your earbuds out.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of announcing to you that we are going to make an effort to repeat the old rebel yell. 1, 2, 3. Charge 'em, boys, charge 'em. We'll now give you the individual there, Captain James Dinkin. General Stevens.
Okay, so now you've heard the actual rebel yell, which was sounded on the hills of Kentucky and Virginia and Tennessee and Georgia and the Carolinas, and these are old men now, or then when this was filmed. So this was probably right around World War I when that was filmed. But when they were young men and they were carrying a gun and came screaming over the hill doing that, it was pretty scary. And we'll look at the info card on Rebel Yell Bourbon. So here we go. So here's your info. I post these on Instagram as well. If you have our little tasting note, if you purchase the vials, you have a hard copy of this. We've also shared this, and we'll do it again in the chat. 이 자료 우리가 바이올이랑 같이 보냈고, 제가 지금 보이는 화면이 하나하나씩 인스타에 올리고 계속 공유하고 있는데, 이 자료는 우리가 지금 챗방에 다시 공유하겠습니다. So 40%. Let's look at the numbers. So it's from Lux Row, 40% ABV. This is a very basic, it's marketed as a upper bottom shelf, lower middle shelf. 아주 상관이지만 그냥 평범한 daily drinker, 뭐 그냥 뭐 마시거나 요리할 때 쓰거나, you can drink it, you can cook with it, you can make it into cocktails. It is a standard bourbon mash bill, 68% corn, 20% wheat, 12% malt. Standard barrel entry proof, about 4 years, it's at least 4 years old. When they were sourcing it, I've seen things saying it was up as high as 7. Now probably not that high. Level 3 char, and again, very fruity. So there's Rebel Yell Bourbon. Save some, because we're going to compare this with the other bourbons on our flight. 나중에 우리가 남은 bourbon 2 종류랑 비교하기 위해서 조금 남겨주세요. 남겨주시고, 그리고 바로 다음 이제 시음할 위스키는 같은 증류소에서 나오는 Rebel Yell Rye 위스키입니다. 그래서 그 원래 역사가 같은 것인데, 라이 위스키 아시다시피 51% 이상은 뭐죠? Rye입니다. 호밀입니다. So rye whiskeys have to be 51% or more rye grain. So we're just switching the grain now. Let's see if our aficionados, 우리 bourbon rye 잘 아는 사람들이 계시니까 여기 보면 MGP에서 나오는 원액이고 45%, 도수가 45%이고, 매시빌 보니까 호밀은 95%, 메가 5%인데, 우리가 잘 알고 있는 다른 라이 위스키는 같은 매시빌인데 어떤 것이 떠오르시나요? What other well-known and pretty easy to get rye has that same mash bill, 95% rye, 5% malt? Does anyone know? Throw it up in the chat. It's okay. We have one. Go ahead and put it in the chat so everybody can see. Sazerac is actually not that high, and I don't remember the exact mash bill. And I know Willet is not that high. Redemption might be, because Redemption is also sourced, but there's a lower rye mash bill. There's one I'm thinking of. It starts with a B. Yeah, this is Bullet in a different bottle. Okay, Bullet. This is the same mash bill as Bullet. So if you have some Bullet rye lying around, you can do a comparison. This is going to be younger. So again, in the chat, what do you get on the nose? 이 향을 볼 때, 이 챗에다가 향 노트 좀 올려주세요. Okay, green, good. Smells like rye. The rye note is there. That dry, baked good. Light rye bread, that note is there. It's not as strong as some others, but I get grass, I get the rye note. Anything else? I get a little bit of rubber. 혹시 태국 갔다 온 적이 있을지 모르겠지만, 태국에서 그 인공 그 고무 아니고 나무에서 나오는 고무 있잖아요. 그 향이 좀 있어요. That chicle, that tree sap rubber. There's a little bit of that there. And then it has a little bit of rye spice. but I find this to be much easier to drink than Bullet for some reason. And Bullet is not much higher in the proof, so it's a matter of where they're aging it and how they're aging it. 숙성 장소랑 숙성 연도가 좀 다르기 때문에 맛은 다른 것 같아요. Okay, so but I find both the Rebel Yells to be very drinkable, very approachable. Okay, I see lots of spice on the tongue. What spice in particular? If you were to pick a spice. Okay, you can type that in too. If you're muted, go ahead and type it in. So I get, Sukian chimed in, I get cinnamon too, kepi, cinnamon. I get less black pepper, more to just fresh cinnamon powder. So it hasn't been in anything, a little bit of white pepper, maybe a little bit of allspice. So the kind of the pie spices, but very still before they've had a chance to cook. 그 pie spice 이거 그 pie 같은 거 준비할 때 계피, allspice, nutmeg 이런 거 그냥 가루 맛과 요리하고 나서 다른 게 설탕이랑 이제 묵초소한 맛이 좀 다르기 때문에 이건 그 앞에 그냥 통에서 나오는 그 가루 맛인 것 같아요. I get the right from the container, the powdered spice, the prepared spice flavor more than, okay. Hyungmin has chimed in. It's very woody, a bit spicy but sweet. Yeah, the finish is off really nice and round and sweet. So not a lot of burn, not very harsh. And unlike other young ryes, I don't get lots of acetone on either one of these. 그래서 오늘 뭐 특별하게 판매하는 목적이 아니지만 Rebel Yell 그냥 기본 한 세트로 그냥 친구한테 bourbon 뭔지, rye 뭔지 비교해서 소개하고 싶을 때는 그냥 이 두 개 그냥 쉽게 꺼내서 제공하시면 서빙하시면 괜찮을 것 같아요. This is just a basic. Yeah, you want to try a basic bourbon and a rye, compare them, see what they're like. This is a nice set to have. It's not very expensive. The tradition goes all the way back to the very beginnings, to Weller. You know, the recipes are there, and Lux Row is making some other amazing things beyond this that if we can get our hands on, we will definitely try later on. They have their own distillery brand, the Lux Row brand, but they also do some others that are really, really incredible, and we're going to try to get our hands on those. So that's it for Rebel Yell. If you have any questions, pull them back around to the end, and we're going to continue on with our next whiskey.